In this lecture, we'll properly get text displaying at the bottom of our UI canvas utilizing timeline signals. Our voice lines can be a little bit tricky to understand.
We're glad to have you here, Lieutenant. We could really use your help.
I think it would be helpful if we actually displayed the text at the bottom of our game view to make sure the player is properly understanding what we're actually trying to say through our crackly radio. To make everything come together correctly using signals, we need three different things to work together properly. We need a single emitter, a single receiver, and a signal asset. A signal emitter contains a reference to a single asset. In our timeline specifically, a signal emitter is usually represented by a marker. We can use either a signal track, or you can actually put markers directly at the top of the timeline ruler. A signal receiver is a component with a list of reactions, basically telling Unity when to fire specific events. We can rig up a Unity event to really do whatever we want. A signal asset is the association between the signal emitter and the signal receiver. You can actually reuse the signal asset in many timeline instances over and over again. Let's hop back into Unity and get our hands dirty rigging something like this up. I'll drag my project window back to over here so I've got some more room in my hierarchy. Over in our UI canvas, let's find that, open it up, and also create a new UI element, Text Mesh Pro. Let's rename this to our dialog text. And we can already see our new text being properly displayed in the middle smack dab of our screen. So using our newfound knowledge of rect transforms, let's open this up. Holding Shift and Alt, I'm going to actually click this one here to get it not only displayed at the bottom of our screen, but also stretched completely from one end to the other. You can actually see that properly being stretched on our UI canvas over here in our scene view. We've got it tucked away in our very bottom left. Let's actually just get that displaying with the alignment directly in the center. I think we're going to need a font a little bit bigger, maybe something around, let's say 48 for now. Some of our voice lines can be a bit long. I think that'll look pretty good once our game view is actually blown up. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Let's go ahead and change our font to the same font we have in the top left. So scrolling down, font asset, I believe we chose Roboto to begin with. You'll actually see that your font settings, things like our drop shadow that we set up previously, will actually carry over. Things like color or alignment will not. Let's just drag that up in our scene view directly on our canvas just to give ourselves a little bit of padding on the bottom while remaining it anchored towards the bottom. And for some placeholder text, I'm just going to actually copy and paste our first voice line. If you double click this text file, it will actually open it up in your VS Code. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this first voice line and just copy it over here, head back to Unity, and then paste that directly in our input field, just as some nice placeholder text for now. Heading back to our master timeline, we can now drag that text element into our timeline just like we did with our audio. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to child this in my voice lines track for organization. I think I'd like my audio to be at the top, so I'll just reorganize it to be displayed as such. And this will then activate just like a voice line. We can then drag this over to snap directly to line up with our voice line, and it's directly lined up with our first audio line. Just like you'd expect, that dialog text element will now only display in your game view when it's properly lined up at that specific place in your timeline. So now we're presented with a couple different options. You could create 8 different dialog text game objects in your hierarchy. You could probably even organize it so it's not too ugly. However, that seems like it would be a bit cluttered for my liking. Because we're fancy schmancy programmers, we can take advantage of a custom C# class to just cycle through an array of strings that we'd like to update our text input with, and then use a signal in our timeline letting it know when it should change that field. First, let's actually just get that text being properly displayed on each one of these sections. So I'll just go ahead and quickly copy paste it 8 times and get it properly lined up with my 8 different audio effects. But we've got an issue. Our audio is saying something different, but our text line is saying the exact same thing every time. Let's go create a custom C# class to get that handled. So in our project folder, scripts, let's go ahead and create a new mono behavior script. And let's call that dialog lines. Once that's compiled, I'll go ahead and create a new empty game object. I'm going to call this managers, and inside here, I'm going to child another empty game object called dialog. That we can drag our dialog lines class as a component directly to it, as well as find our scoreboard here, and we'll just child that to our manager's empty game object as well to keep things a bit more organized, and they both kind of fit that manager classification. Let's go ahead and open up that new dialog lines class in VS Code. So what are we going to need? We can go ahead and delete all of this chunky goodness, and we know we're going to need a serialized field of our TMP text asset. So let's go ahead and do that, TMP text. That will import the TM Pro namespace for us automatically, and we can just call that our dialogue text. And we know we want to update that somewhere in between each individual audio effect. So let's create a function to do that. Let's create a void, we'll call it next dialogue line. And what do we actually want to update it with? Using our newfound knowledge of arrays, let's actually create an array of strings. So string open and closed bracket, and we'll just call it timeline text lines. That will give us as many different input fields in the inspector that we can update, putting in our own customized string reference. I'll show you what that looks like once we get back to Unity. All we need now is just some sort of integer to keep track of which timeline text line to display. So let's do that. Let's create an int. We'll call it current line, and we'll just initialize it at 0 to start. Every single time we fire this function, let's update our current line integer by 1. So what's the shorthand for that? Current line plus plus. After we've updated this integer, we can actually just choose which timeline text line to display on our dialog text. So dialog text.text to go into that specific property, timeline text lines, and then here, open and closed bracket, we can actually just now use the zero-based index array of strings to display which one we want to display using this current line integer. So open close bracket with current line inside. The only thing left to do is make sure that this method is accessible inside of Unity. So let's change this to public. Let's head back into Unity and see what this looks like. With our dialog selected in our hierarchy, you can now see our dialog lines component has an array of strings. You can click this little plus icon, and we now have an element of strings that we can just type whatever we want. How many do we need? Well, we have 8 voice lines. Let's create 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Awesome. On a different monitor, I'm actually just going to open up VS Code, slap this over on another monitor so I can easily copy and paste these 8 voice lines into these 8 different voice line input fields. So I'll go ahead and quickly do that. There you go. Starting with a zero-based index, we've got 0 through 7, in other words, 8 voice lines. Except I'm noticing I have one little typo here. I believe lieutenant is supposed to be capitalized. So I'll go ahead and capitalize that in our first voice line. Let's not forget in our dialog lines, let's just properly assign this TMP text element to our dialog text field. So over here in our UI canvas, drag that over here to properly assign it. And I believe this is all rigged up correctly. All we need to do now is head over to our timeline, rig up some signals to properly fire this function. You can actually fire a signal event directly at the very top of your timeline if you click this little show markers button, or you can actually do it using a signal track. With your playhead selected where you'd like to put it, you can actually right-click directly in this little markers field and add a signal emitter. And you've got this nice little warning created for us saying, hey, we don't have a signal asset, and hey, we also don't have a signal receiver anywhere on our master timeline. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's first create a signal. And I'm going to save this directly in my timelines folder. You can call it whatever you'd like. I'm going to call it the same method name that we named it in our dialog lines class. I believe that was next dialog line. And we'll go ahead and save that signal inside of our timelines folder. We also want to add a signal receiver. Let's go ahead and click this button. That will give us this component signal receiver. We just need to properly rig up what this signal receiver is actually looking for. And it'll give us the option to drop in a game object. Let's drag in our dialog game object. That will then give us the option, because we created our method as public, to go into this drop down, find dialog lines, which is the custom class that we've created, and find our public method. It's got a bunch of out-of-the-box methods, and we can find our custom method here, next dialog line. You can see Unity actually even changed this little icon to this custom C# script. You can see that we're using the dialog lines component on the dialog game object. So, moment of truth, let's go ahead and hit play and see if we have that rigged up correctly.
We're glad to have you here, Lieutenant. We could really use your help. Like shooting fish in a barrel.
Perfect. It properly changed our text at the bottom of the screen, but you'll see we only actually have one signal emitter, so the next one should be the same, like shooting fish in a barrel, even though the audio will be different.
It's a trap.
So now you've got a couple different options. You could actually copy and paste this signal emitter at the very top of our timeline, just giving ourselves a little bit more room here, and then just copy and paste it in between each audio line on your markers directly at the top of your timeline. However, to me, that seems a little bit disorganized. So instead of actually putting it directly at the top of our timeline, you can actually organize this directly in our voice lines track group using a signal track. So let's actually go ahead and do that and show you one more method to get this rigged up properly. I'm going to select all of these signal emitters and just delete all 4 of them. They're gone. Inside of our voice lines track group, let's hit this little plus icon and create a signal track. This time, instead of creating the signal emitter directly at the top on our markers track, let's actually do it directly here on our signal track. So let's just right click directly on our signal track and select Add Signal Emitter from Signal Asset. We already have that signal asset created in our timeline folder, so let's just actually use that same one and select Next Dialog Line. Let's just make sure that's properly situated in between our 2 audio voice lines. Great, we're emitting it properly, the next dialog line, but it doesn't have a receiver yet. So let's create a signal receiver directly on our dialog game object. We can actually just drag in our dialog game object inside of this field here on our signal track, which will prompt us to create a signal receiver on that dialog game object. You can actually see that here directly. If you click dialog, you can see the signal receiver. Back to our master timeline, let's click the signal emitter, and same thing as before, just add a reaction. We've already got this game object properly assigned. We can now just use the drop-down, dialog lines, next dialog line. And with that, I think we should be rigged up correctly. Let's go ahead and try that out one more time, clicking play. We should have the same result with a slightly different method to get there.
We're glad to have you here, Lieutenant. We could really use your help. Like shooting fish in the barrel.
Looks good to me. Let's go ahead and copy and paste this emitter in between each audio line. So Control-C directly on this signal emitter, dragging our playhead over, Control-V to paste, 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 and in between each audio voice line. It doesn't really need to be any specific place. It just needs to be in between the 2 to make sure that it fires at some point in between these 2 audio lines. And with that, I think we should be rigged up correctly and ready to move on. It's worth mentioning that if you hit play directly on your timeline, it won't actually fire these events from your signal emitters correctly. You do actually have to play your game. Once you have that rigged up and working correctly, you're ready to move on. I'll go ahead and leave you with a full playthrough of mine just so you can actually see what mine looks like. But for now, I'll see you in the next lecture.
We're glad to have you here, Lieutenant. We could really use your help. Like shooting fish in the barrel. It's a trap. Get out of there. Crikey, looks like you could use a hand. Never thought I'd see your face around here, General. Rightio, let's finish this once and for all. Struth, looks like the galaxy just got a little more safe. Yeehaw! You did it!